20 CRPF Jawans have been killed in a powerful IED attack on a convoy passing through the Srinagar-Jammu highway near Avantipora. Jammu and Kashmir DG confirmed to India today that it was a suicide attack and the IED was planted in a car which was moving close to the CRPF vehicle on the highway. The terrorists hiding in the area also opened fire on the convoy. Mufti, former Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir, she remember ran a government of more than 3 years with the Bharatiya Janata Party in the state of Jammu and Kashmir, and since then there has been a downward trend as far as security situation in the state of Jammu and Kashmir is concerned. Joining me right now on the broadcast, we are trying to get to the 360-degree view. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a mobile visual of the attack at the point when, in fact, the fire was still burning on that bus when the SUV rammed into the CRPF convoy. It was just about 20 kilometers from Srinagar, and this man, Jaish-e-Mohammed, has released a video of this man identified as Adil Ahmad, who is a resident of Pulwama, as the man responsible for this attack, the suicide terrorist. India Today's executive editor Gaurav Sawant is with us at this point of time. We are also being joined by Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni. Major General Yogi Behel is also with us on the broadcast. Gaurav, let me start with you, because this highway and attacks on the convoy, it was almost an SOP for the terrorists. They used to open fire. We have seen many times, especially the CRPF convoy being attacked. What is so different in this huge attack in which the casualty has run as of now to 20?
Ankit, this was a very well-planned terror attack, one of the worst in Jammu and Kashmir. 20 personnel lost is unfortunately not the worst news. There are at least 15 who are critical, and you know, they're battling between life and death. What is worse, this was a huge convoy of the CRPF, and there will be perhaps an analysis. Did it have adequate security on either sides of the road, or highway domination teams like the army has when their convoys move? From what sources tell India Today, there were more than 70 vehicles in this convoy, and this was more than one battalion that was moving. This was a major changeover that was happening from Jammu to Srinagar, and unfortunately, terrorists had information about this massive movement. So they planned a terror attack. They planned a terror attack in which terrorists have an advantage. This Letpura area near Avantipora, this is seen as the Jaish-e-Mohammed stronghold. As you rightly pointed out, Ankit, this is the area where terrorists would often open fire at security forces and melt into the homes in that area. That is where one extremely radicalized youth, we are told, perhaps in an SUV laden with explosives, rammed into a CRPF vehicle.
What we are being told right now, that a post-blast assessment is going on. The top security officials are, as of now, briefing the National Security Advisor, Ajit Doval, because remember this, just before, there is a political angle to this as well, just before heading into an election also puts a lot of pressure on the government to act. But more than that, and let me just get in Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni on this. The questions on the CRPF convoy, SOPs being followed or not, comes up all the time. But the fact remains, it is the political pressure that allowed all the vehicles which at one point of time used to be stopped when a convoy as large as this used to make a movement have been allowed. To please the local population for political gains, this is the price that we are paying today.
You know, you rightly brought it out, Ankit. What actually happens is, especially in this particular movement, I think we ought to have been a little careful. A convoy of 70 vehicles, 2,500 personnel, a changeover taking place, almost, and districts which are known to us are, prone to terrorist attack. We ought to have been a little more careful. When we know this kind of things happen, and again, the weather is bad. Absolute bad weather at this point of time. They've taken advantage of all that. And a wide road with no collateral damage is indicative how beautifully an executed planned operation this is by that jihadi. Now, this kind of an operation being planned probably leads to kind of a, it would be wrong to use the word complacency, but definitely when such a large body of troops are moving, we must be careful. There is no denying the fact, and whatever be the political repercussions, troops take priority.
Yes.
And when the troops are moving on the road and these kind of convoys are moving, they ought to be sanitized 100%. There is no question of allowing any civilian vehicle pass through like this, because they know a vehicle loaded with 40 kgs of explosive going and banging against the CRPF vehicle is indicative that he was actually going along with the convoy and hit at a point of time when he knew that there would be no collateral damage and damage would only be caused to our own vehicle.
Right in the belly of this entire convoy. And Major General Yogi Behel, this also tells you that the Jaish-e-Mohammed, trained, supported, armed, funded by Pakistan, by ISI in Pakistan, now also has the capacity, the capability of making such complex IEDs which they can mount on vehicles. This is going to be a big trouble moving forward for the security forces in Jammu and Kashmir.
That's right. We mustn't forget that as regard the Pulwama is concerned, the South Kashmir is concerned, is the hub of militants, especially the foreign militants. Plus, it is an R&R area for the foreign militants, because that's the only area where they are getting the shelter, they are getting the support from the locals. Now, question comes, how it has happened? Especially the sanitization takes place. The ROP, the road opening parties, must have been equally active as they are for the other security forces. I just heard while you were while the whole thing was being discussed, or rather your representative who is in Kashmir was speaking, that the militant vehicle was moving alongside our convoy. If the militant vehicle was moving alongside the convoy, then CRPF or the ROP people should have intercepted that vehicle,
yes,
which has not been done for one reason or the other reason.
Okay.
The second thing is, we heard the Mehbooba Mufti's statement. Her statement is such that which gives more support to the locals, to the what you call political parties, and not. She did not display any sympathy,
yes,
for those who have martyred today in this incident. The third thing is...
Well, it's not surprising, sir. It's not surprising that there are politicians and at least Mehbooba Mufti is sticking to her stated line. It is for the government of India to see what action we need to take, and irrespective of what is the political gain and loss as far as Jammu and Kashmir is concerned, before the situation becomes more grave. And before I go to Brigadier Mahalingam, let me also bring in my colleague Shuja-ul-Haq Thakur, who is joining us from just a few meters from the blast site. Shuja, give us, a very quick update of what is happening, where you are, because the pictures that you have sent, the videos that you have sent, Shuja, from the blast site, they are absolutely terrible. Stomach-churning pictures. Our heart, in fact, goes out to the families of those men, those who have lost their lives.
Well, that's right, Ankit. One of the worst attacks on the security forces in Kashmir Valley in recent times is this one. In fact, the manner in which this attack has taken place and the kind of visuals that we could see, because we are one of the first people who reached the spot, and everything was helter-skelter. The impact of this blast was such that it was very clear the manner in which this was carried out. So far, the details that we've been able to pick up from the security forces, who are still maintaining that they will do a post-blast analysis and then probably give us the details, but very clear on the ground that this was very well organized, very well planned, and perhaps these attackers had specific information that such a huge column of CRPF vehicles was moving on this stretch. Ankit, this is the spot. In fact, just a few meters away is the exact place where the attack has taken place. It's usually a very busy stretch. The only national, road link. This is the only road link that connects Kashmir with the rest of the country. So a lot of vehicles, supply vehicles, army, CRPF, and other personnel who travel on this road, not just to move outside Kashmir, but also to move towards the South Kashmir areas in terms of their deployment, happens here. So very well planned attack, definitely one of the most gruesome and worst attacks that has happened. In fact, we've been maintaining that this is worse than the Uri attack that we saw just a couple of years back, and that's why it has received a lot of response also from all across. We just heard the Governor Satyapal Malik himself condemning this attack. We've seen other political parties also coming forward and condemning this attack. But it will be very important to see, what steps does the government and the security forces take to ensure that such attacks do not happen. Because, movement of convoys, movement of personnel, movement of troops on this route will continue. Like I was mentioning, this is the only route linked towards Kashmir. So it will have to be seen how, the security would be beefed up, how it will be intensified in terms of ensuring that such attacks do not take place. Also important to mention here, Ankit, quickly, is that this is after a very long time that Kashmir has seen a suicide attack, if it is so, because Jaish-e-Mohammed, has already claimed that it is a suicide attack.
That's right.
If that is true, then it will be after decades that such an attack has happened in the valley, and that's also very, very concerning.
It is concerning not only for the government, it should be concerning for the entire country if once again the same tactics, these deadly tactics are being used. And what could be the response of the government? How should they respond to this? The security forces will do a deep dive on that. Before that, let's just very quickly take a look at the reactions coming in from the ground of the security officials, those who reached the spot as soon just after the blast took place.
CRPF Convoy, which was coming from Jammu and going towards Srinagar, was attacked. We have suffered damage to the vehicle as well as to the men. We suspect that it was a vehicle-bound attack. So was it a However, no, it's not confirmed as yet. It's a matter of investigation. All this is a matter of investigation. The Jammu and Kashmir police has taken up the investigation. And we have suffered damage to both men and our vehicles.
It's a terror incident. It's a terror incident, and we are looking into to the possibility of what led to this blast. There was a ROP, there was a vehicle convoy which was coming, and it was there is an explosion. And what is the nature of explosion, how it has happened, what led to this explosion, these are all subject of investigation. So we are going to carry out a professional post-blast investigation to understand the circumstances. And at present, what IG CRPF said, that the number of casualties, the injured, whosoever injured, they have been shifted to the hospital. We are now clearing the site. As and when we get the confirmation of the numbers, we will definitely share it.
Let me quickly get in Brigadier Mahalingam as well on this. Brigadier Mahalingam, the security forces, Indian Army and security forces have been on an offensive. Operation All Out has been going on. Record number of terrorists have been eliminated. Despite that, it seems that the ability of these terror groups has not been neutralized completely for both factors, external and possibly internal. Isn't it time for the security forces to also go after these internal factors which enable these kind of deadly attacks?
Absolutely. The point, there are a couple of things which I would like to say. First of all, this convoy which was coming from Jammu, I understand it was a new fresh unit which was coming to sort of for a turnover. When such new units come in, they are unaware of what the situation in the valley is. Therefore, to that extent, the importance of the road opening parties to do their job absolutely fine cannot be overemphasized. The second aspect which I would like to mention is this particular incident is very significant and very important because a car bomb attack has not happened in recent years. This is, to my way of looking, is an upgradation of the type of attack that they can do. The point to remember is in such car bomb attacks, the quantum of explosives that is required to carry out the attack is much more. The question is where does this ammunition come from? Where is it coming from? That is one thing which needs to be sort of fully exploited and found out.
Absolutely.
The second aspect which I would like to also bring out is Jaish-e-Mohammed. It is a stooge of the Pakistan's ISI and Pakistan's military.
Right.
And I believe it is that organization which has carted all that explosives, waited till it sort of built up to a certain level and then carried out this particular attack.
All right, breaking news is coming in on the bulletin at this point of time. In fact, the centre has warned of revenge as far as Arun Jaitley is concerned. Union Minister has gone ahead and said that there will be revenge. There will be the martyrs of this attack will be avenged. The attack on the CRPF in Pulwama, Jammu and Kashmir is cowardice and condemnable act of terrorists. Nation salutes martyred soldiers, and we all stand united with the families of martyrs. We pray for the speedy recovery of the injured. Terrorists will be given unforgettable lesson for their heinous act. So a senior minister in fact reacting to this. Let me get in Gaurav Sawant at this point of time. Gaurav, Uri happened, there was pressure on the government and the result was the surgical strike. This possibly is even bigger than Uri attack. 20 soldiers already martyred. What response are we expecting from the government of India?
So the indication is already here. You've just heard what Arun Jaitley, Union Minister, said, and Minister of State for External Affairs, General V.K. Singh, former Chief of the Army Staff, he's also reacted. He says, as a soldier and as a citizen of India, my blood boils at the spineless and cowardly attacks. 18 bravehearts from CRPF laid down their lives in Pulwama. I salute their selfless sacrifice, and this is where it becomes very significant. He says, I promise that every drop of our soldiers' blood will be avenged. Now, remember, this is a government that is going into election, and every time there's a terror attack, a government, remember, Randeep Singh Surjewala of the Congress party has already attacked the Narendra Modi government, calling them weak, calling them spineless, saying that their policies in Kashmir are not working. This is the time for the government. It will have to take measures. Now, does this mean another Uri 2? Perhaps not. Does it mean more action at the line of control in terms of either surgical strikes or artillery attacks? Maybe not. It depends. There are, as the military experts on the broadcast will tell us, Ankit, there are a host of options for India so that terrorists in Pakistan pay, and perhaps it's time for that offensive defense to be put into effect.
And all these things will come into play. Things will come into play. The post-analysis, where did we, in fact, the soldiers or the SOPs were not followed. All these things will now come into play. And also the questions will be asked to the government on the Kashmir policy. But the fact remains, 20 soldiers have paid with blood. And if India at this point of time doesn't respond, when will we? I very quickly at this point of time want to take you and show you on this graphic, on this map, where did this attack take place, and we'll get a quick reaction from our experts on this. This is the Jammu-Srinagar highway, and this is the Avantipora area. This is the site of this attack. An SUV laden with 40 kilograms of explosive. It's not easy, not only to make the IEDs, but to procure this amount of explosives and then to put it on an SUV and then, of course, go and ram a convoy exactly right in the belly where the soldiers possibly in the bus were unarmed, going in this shift from one place to another. Now, before, in fact, we tell our viewers step by step how the attack unfolded. Gaurav, very quickly, this highway is also often called as the highway of death. There have been many attacks which have taken place specifically on the CRPF. Why is CRPF targeted time and again? Why are they a soft target?
When as the generals on the broadcast will tell us better, Ankit, the convoys are actually the soft belly. They are the Achilles heel of any forces when they move down on road, because it's a long look. Like in this particular case, there were 70 vehicles. So to protect soldiers in 70 vehicles, it's not an easy task. You can have, in the good old days, you would have soldiers on either side of the road. They would stop any movement. At 5 in the morning, there would be a road opening party which would check for mines and IEDs. There would be soldiers who would stand under bridges, in gullies, under culverts to ensure that there are no IEDs underneath. And they would continue to stand there. They would eat food there. They would ease themselves in that area. They would just not move from there from 5 in the morning till 5 or 7 in the evening till the time the convoy had passed.
Gaurav, there is a breaking news coming in. Home Minister RAJNATH Singh is visiting Srinagar tomorrow. This is the latest that we are getting in. And this, of course, would be the biggest government official at this point of time. A minister, Home Minister, visiting Jammu and Kashmir after this terror attack. Remember, there is the governor's rule in Jammu and Kashmir at this point of time. Home Minister RAJNATH Singh is going to go to Srinagar. We'll take a stock of the situation after this attack as well, and what would be possibly the measures taken after this. This is the latest which is coming in. RAJNATH Singh, the Home Minister, is going to visit Srinagar tomorrow. Kamaljeet Sandhu, my colleague, now joining us on this story. Kamal, Home Minister rushing to Srinagar tomorrow to take the stock of the situation and possibly also sit with the top security official and strategize for the way ahead.
Well, Ankit, today is Valentine's Day, but the blood has been splattered all over in Jammu and Kashmir. This is the most dastardly attack since Uri. More than 20 casualties have taken place. We've been told the figure may rise dramatically, maybe up to 30. But that is something security forces are still waiting to tell us. But we know that Home Minister RAJNATH Singh, DG CRPF RR Bhatnagar, senior officers all rushing to the spot. This is a huge change. It's a new sort of a weapon. It's a new trigger. We've seen a large number of explosives. We've been told plastic. We've been told RDX. Sharpeners have been used. So specifically a dramatic change in modus operandi. Something that we've seen in 1996 and 1998 in Baramulla.
Kamal, I'm sorry I'm interrupting you here. We are getting a reaction from the advisor to Governor of Jammu and Kashmir, Satyapal Malik. So advisor is speaking at this point.
Straight, I'm going back via Jammu. Tomorrow morning I am in Srinagar.
इसमें किस तरह का ब्लास्ट है? किस तरह का ब्लास्ट?
वो it will be only based on forensic evidence. अभी तक जो भी information मिला है, it looks like a powerful explosive, and the impact has been quite a bit.
सर पहले इनपुट भी मिला हुआ था, कहा जा रहा है कि
ये टाइप का इनपुट मिलता रहता है. ये टाइप का इनपुट का ऊपर हम भी कार्रवाई करते हैं, हम भी बाकी लोगों को अलर्ट करते हैं. जब भी हमारा तरफ से कुछ प्रेशर वगैरह, अब जैसे कि आप जानते हैं लास्ट ईयर का more than 250 militants have been eliminated last year, the highest in the last 10 years. उसमें सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट पॉइंट है उनका इम्पोर्टेंट कमांडर्स, 19 कमांडर्स, इम्पोर्टेंट लोग, 5 तंजीमें, अल-बदर, JEM, हरकत अल-मुजाहिदीन, LET. सो बहुत नुकसान हुआ, बहुत डैमेज हुआ. सो इस साल शुरू से भी हमारा सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस की कार्रवाई very actively it was going on. So in between lot of grenades and actions were happening, and we had tightened up our grid, and some of the grenade models were also busted.
So ये local groups.
1 minute. So the report of possibility of IED usage was also there, that was shared, but it is not a specific intelligence.
Okay.
When you say there is a general intelligence, to convert into specific, actionable, takes great effort and great amount of luck. So that's what we are now at the first stage is handling the crisis. Second stage is to avoid further damage, and then go on intelligence-based operations. We will be at it steady.
ये सुसाइड अटैक आप कर रहे हैं? ये क्लेम किया जा रहा है कि सुसाइड अटैक था और जैश इसको क्लेम कर रहा है.
Those claims can be made several times. पहले भी हुआ था, कई लोग ने कहीं इंसिडेंट के ऊपर क्लेम किया है, लेकिन बाद में वो पता चला वो it's not correct. So I don't want to venture into speculations. We'll wait on that.
So about the last homegrown.
What do you say about homegrown?
Means कि वो बाहर से नहीं ये.
That again is a matter of speculation. We have to confirm whether it is a foreign militant or a local militant.
Okay. Thank you.
That's the advisor to Jammu and Kashmir, Governor Satyapal Malik, in fact, saying that there is still early, a lot of speculation. The claim of Jaish-e-Mohammed needs to be verified by the security agencies, and whether the person, the Fidayeen attacker, the dastardly Fidayeen attacker, in fact, who is being seen or propagated by the Jaish-e-Mohammed as the one who was driving this SUV, he said that all those claims need to be verified. Let's very quickly now tell you how this attack unfolded, what we know so far. So at this point of time, what we know is that the CRPF convoy of around 50 vehicles, more than 50 in fact, was traveling on Jammu-Srinagar highway. This was the convoy which came under attack. The convoy had 20 buses, trucks and SUVs. It was right in the middle. Each bus and the truck had about 30 to 40 CRPF troopers in them. It was a shift over, a changeover which was taking place. There was a high alert along the highway as the convoy approached Srinagar. It was just about 20 kilometers from Srinagar, and this is a usual practice. When a convoy moves in, there is a lot of vigilance which is mounted. Jaish-e-Mohammed then mounted a suicide attack to beat the guards along the route. So what has happened is, since according to the new SOP, vehicles on the road don't have to be stopped. They only move onto one side of the road to give passage to the convoy, security convoy. That is why this SUV was seen moving along the convoy and then suddenly turned around and hit, in fact, the bus. It rammed the bus and a big explosion took place in this bus, which was right in the middle of the convoy. Let me very quickly get in Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni on this. Sir, the response of the Indian forces in the last year or so has been furious. We have, Indian soldiers have killed tops of various terror groups, but that has not deterred the capability as far as this attack has shown. This must have taken a lot of preparation. What goes into mounting an attack like this, and what should be our response?
You know, to blame, this should not be a blame game, firstly. Secondly, let me tell you, the CRPF, the security forces would have adequately planned, the route would have been sanitized. There's no question. If 2,500 troops moving on the road, 70 vehicles, that they would not be catered for. There would have been adequate distances between the vehicle. The route is sanitized. There's no doubt the route is sanitized. But the fact is that this particular vehicle, which had been prepared for the Fedayeen attack, must have been prepared somewhere else, brought onto the road, and then this vehicle goes and bangs this, the CRPF convoy. Now, this is indicative of preparation which is going on. Otherwise, you cannot prepare a vehicle with almost 40 kgs of explosive to be, so prepared, and that it bangs and it blows up. First, that means there was some preparation going on, but you cannot blame the sanitization of the route. The route has been sanitized. But since the decision has been taken that the civilian vehicles will also move along with the convoy, the route is very wide, absolutely wide road. But there is no collateral damage, indicative of what? That the planning has been on for a very, very long time. They knew where exactly and how it has got to be done.
Absolutely.
Now, also, remember, Pakistan uses terrorism as an instrument of state policy. All along, the statements that are emanating from Pakistan, emanating from, I would say, the double-talk politicians of the valley, is indicative that something would have been brewing. And just when it is 20 kilometers short of entering, you find this blowing.
Major General Jogi Behel, this also gives you an indication that this couldn't have been planned. Such a precise operation couldn't have been planned without the help of what, the terrorists and the security forces call the overground workers. It would require a lot of surveillance. It would require people, those who are unmarked, not marked as terrorists, to in fact give precise information. It's time to go after such people with a high hand so that such attacks can be prevented going further.
You mustn't forget one thing, that this convoy movement is a regular feature. ROPs, road opening parties, is a regular feature. Very correctly said by one of us that when such a large convoy, when the units are moving, the ROPs are made more alert. As regards checking of the civilian vehicle is concerned, it is done only at 2 points. One point is when you exit from Srinagar, well close to the bypass, all civilian vehicles are checked and thereafter they are released. Now this vehicle hasn't come, according to my experience, this vehicle hasn't come up as a part of normal movement from one end to the other end. It has come out of one of the Pulwama villages. And Pulwama, as I brought out earlier, is a hub of terrorist activities. So to say that some overground workers must be there, it's a very common thing. It's nothing unusual.
Yeah.
Third thing is, the vehicle may have started moving may have moved for around 2-3 kilometers to reach up to the right target point, the point where they want to blast the vehicle or they want to use the explosive, and then it is blasted.
Okay. Let me get in my colleague Kamalji Sandhu, who is joining us from the newsroom at this point of time. Kamal, what else do we know? What is the information that is trickling in as far as this blast is concerned? So far, Jaish-e-Mohammed has put out a face which they claim is a suicide bomber. What are our security forces and agencies saying about this? Because they have to verify these claims before any action can be taken.
Well, we've managed to speak to our security forces sources, and they've cleared that this man, Adil Ahmad, is actually a resident of Kakapora. We've also been told that he's in his 20s. He joined Ansar-ul-Ghaznawat in 2017 in February, and then later on he joined Jaish-e-Mohammed. So very clearly, this is a new modus operandi, a new trigger which has been used, a new weapon has been used. So obviously a sharp change in the modus operandi of terror groups, and this is the sort of pattern which security forces need to be wary of. They're saying it's extremely alarming because this is not a usual type of a Fidain attack. The similar kind we saw in Lethpura in 2016, because remember, this particular area is in and around Lethpura in Pulwama. This is also significant because this is a crucial highway. Now remember, Jammu and Srinagar highway are connected. The convoy was coming from Jammu, and on this crucial highway, this particular vehicle rammed into it, and we've been told more than 200 kgs of explosives were part of it, which included shrapnel, which included white plastic, which included RDX. So clearly a change in modus operandi, and right under the nose of security forces, they've been managed to get together all these explosives, put it in the vehicle, and obviously totally surprise and shock security forces. Now we know in 1996 and 1998, we saw a certain car bombing on army convoy attacks in Baramulla in around area, but it was not the sort of this kind. This is a huge attack. The casualty of Uri terror attack was 19. This has gone way up to 26. We've been told the numbers could sharply escalate because these are grievous injuries. We've been told that 39 members were sitting inside the bus, and the car actually hit the belly of the bus.
Okay, Kamal, stay on with me. Gaurav, you know, there are so many bleeding hearts already speaking about, and always we have the usual suspects, and especially from the political lobby, who speak about these are misguided youth when the stone pelters are dealt with a heavy hand. These are the stone pelters of today who have now, many of them, this young man who has turned a Fidain, of course, has been radicalized. Isn't this time for such bleeding hearts now to be exposed? The government can't step back and say, we had tried an experiment, that experiment has failed, it's time to go after all those bleeding hearts as well. This can't be business as usual. People are paying with their lives on the roads.
They indeed are, and that's the tragedy. You know, whether it's stone pelters at one level or these radicalized elements at another level. Look, the situation in Kashmir has deteriorated over the years. You know, you and I have covered situation on ground, but Ankit, look at a situation where a police officer is lynched outside a mosque in downtown Srinagar. Look at the situation where Islamic State flags are waved not just outside the mosque, but once even at the pulpit of the mosque. Look at the situation where people are scared to come out of their homes when fellow Kashmiris are being killed by terrorists. So this is the situation now, that a radicalized element is taking over with weapons and others are unable to speak. Now, we were all horrified when we saw that image of a young woman being shot dead in cold blood. That happened very recently by terrorists. But how many of these people spoke up at that point of time? But from what I'm picking up right now from my sources, Ankit, now the situation is very clear. There was an information leak from within the organization. What was that organization, whether it was CRPF or Jammu and Kashmir Police, is a matter of investigation. The fact that terrorists knew that there was a massive movement, and massive movement is almost 70 plus vehicles, almost 2,000 plus personnel. Okay. Now, 3 generals with us on the broadcast, and they will tell you when there's such a massive movement, it's almost like vehicle after vehicle for almost half an hour on that highway. And this is a highway from Jammu to Srinagar, a journey that takes about 7 hours. So, and there are some intercepts that have now been received about mobile communication. Right. This is where the perpetrators, or at least the handlers within our country, will be nailed.
And Brigadier Mahalingam, you know, the government has always put the figures of the number of terrorists, those who have been killed. They have been saying that record number of terrorists have been killed. But if the terror organizations, if Pakistan-backed terrorists are able to mount an attack of this magnitude, it clearly tells you that their capability has not completely been diminished and neutralized.
Absolutely. There is no doubt whatsoever that the capabilities of the militants have not been
वो कॉन्वॉय है CRPF की जिस पे हमला हुआ था। हम लोग आपको इस वक्त जो है यहाँ से एक्सक्लूसिव तस्वीरें दिखा रहे हैं। इसी कॉन्वॉय पे हमला हुआ था। ये कॉन्वॉय अब तक रुकी हुई थी और अब इनको निकलने की इजाज़त दी गई है। इस कॉन्वॉय में करीब 2500 जो है CRPF के पर्सनल हैं और बहुत बड़ा कॉलम है जो श्रीनगर से आ रहा था, श्रीनगर की तरफ आ रहा था और उसी पर हमला किया गया। एक कार बम जो है वो उसका इस्तेमाल किया गया है और उसमें करीब 18 जो है CRPF के जवान जो है मारे गए और कई सारे जख्मी हुए हैं। मैं आपको फिर से बता दूं कि ये एक्सक्लूसिव तस्वीरें हैं इस कॉन्वॉय की जिस पे हमला हुआ था और इसी में से इसी तरीके की एक गाड़ी थी जिस पे जो है वो कार बॉम्ब जो है वो जो उसके साथ हमला किया गया और उसी वजह से कई सारी कैजुअलिटीज हुई। अब इस पूरे इलाके को जो है कॉर्डन किया गया था। अब तक किसी के आने जाने की जो है इजाज़त नहीं थी। अब यहाँ से कॉन्वॉय को निकलने का जो है आदेश मिला है, श्रीनगर की तरफ जाने का आदेश मिला है और आगे उसके बाद ये कॉन्वॉय अपनी मंजिल की तरफ जाएंगी। मैं फिर से बता दूं ये वो एक्सक्लूसिव तस्वीरें हैं जो हम आपके पास ला रहे हैं इस कॉन्वॉय का जो है उस जिस पे हमला हुआ था अवंतीपोरा के पास। शुजाउल हक, अवंतीपोरा से आज तक।
Okay, so 3-4 important points that we know so far. Number one, it was not 40 but 200 kilograms of explosive which was used. This is the latest information coming in. The terrorist who is now accused, who has been identified, at least who has claimed the responsibility of the suicide attack, Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorist, was trained in Afghanistan. This is possibly a usual tactic. Car bombings is a usual tactic by the Taliban in Afghanistan, which now is being seen being utilized by the terrorists in Jammu and Kashmir. And Brigadier Mahalingam, we have also seen reports earlier how there is now a coalition of terrorists trained in Kashmir with the terrorists in Afghanistan, those who have been fighting against the Americans, and ISI facilitating this deadly exchange.
See, the point that we must understand is, as far as Afghanistan training camps are concerned, the Lashkar-e-Toiba had a training camp in Kunar province in Afghanistan. They have all along been training. They have been training people who have been sent from India, the youngsters who have been sent there, and also those people who have been sent to them for training and onward transmission to Afghanistan. This has been going on time and again. In fact, during my tenure there was a Hizbul Mujahideen's district commander who was trained in Afghanistan. Okay. So therefore, as far as that is concerned, training is concerned, these are generally being organized by Lashkar-e-Toiba. I think even today they have their training camps in that area. Having said that, I must tell you that in this particular case, the terrorists might have realized that the road opening parties are effective, and it would perhaps be impossible for them to put an IED there and get it exploded. It is for this reason, and also to have a great effect, because it gives tremendous amount of publicity to the militants and tells the world that the situation in Kashmir is...
Mahalingam, let's listen in to our colleague Shujaul Haq Thakur, who's bringing us this report from the ground.
It is being said that it is a suicide attack and a car bomb was actually used to carry out this attack. And if that is true, it's a huge cause of concern, because after decades, such a tactic has been used by these groups to carry out an attack on the security forces, and this will be a huge cause of concern for the entire security arrangements and security paraphernalia, because this highway is one of the most important road links to Kashmir Valley, and a lot of security forces and their vehicles move on this highway on a daily basis. Shujaul Haq in Srinagar for India Today.
Shujaul Haq was reporting just a few meters from where this attack took place. Gaurav, I can't even imagine also the mental condition. Okay, all right, this is big breaking news coming in. We've just been informed that officially it has been confirmed 30 Indian soldiers, 30 CRPF troopers have been martyred in this attack. The death toll has risen up to 30. This is, make no mistake, ladies and gentlemen, one of the biggest terror attacks on the security forces in the recent history, and possibly the generals will bail me out here, one of the worst, of course, in the history of Jammu and Kashmir as well, since the time the state has been facing the terrorism from Pakistan. Gaurav, I can't even imagine when Shuja was showing those visuals of the convoy, of the other troopers, the buddies, the men, those who are working with the men, those who have been attacked. 30 have been killed. They will have to go about their duty, possibly right after they move to the next station.
Oh, absolutely. Just tonight itself. From what I've picked up from CRPF, the moment this terror strike took place, now initially 200 kilograms of explosives, when that goes off in a bus where 30 people are killed, and we're telling our viewers there are some images that we cannot even show them to you. They're so disturbing. Now, all vehicular movement was stopped immediately. All drivers were asked to come out of their vehicles. All movement stopped. People were asked not to assemble at any place, because that's the time the apprehension is that if there are terrorists who are lurking around, if you hunch up or bunch up in one place, they could open fire and casualties could become higher. So that is the time that they are asked to disperse a little. That's the time other teams came over. They've spread out. Intelligence operations based operations are currently being mounted, is what sources are telling me. Now these vehicles have got permission to move. They will get to their respective bases. There is this post-traumatic stress disorder or PTSD. They will undergo a psychological assessment, but that's also only some. Remember, these are 2,500 personnel who are moving in one go. This was one of the biggest movements of CRPF personnel, and many times it's been debated whether there should be such big movement at one point of time, or should they move in smaller groups, and there are debates on either side on this.
Okay.
But at this point of time, we are told that a massive operation is already being mounted to flush out Jaish-e-Mohammed overground workers.
30 CRPF troopers have lost their lives. No matter what happens in the studios, no matter what the politicians say, it is only these men who have paid with blood and their families understand the real vacuum of the tragedy that has hit them. There are no words to express this, and the worse, it just keeps getting worse. This evening just keeps getting worse with the news trickling in, because we have been told that there are many others, those who are extremely injured at this point of time. They are battling for their life, and the death toll could even go up. 200 kilograms of explosives. Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, for a lot of people, they wouldn't understand what can 200 kilograms of explosives do. Just tell our viewers what is, all right. Okay, let's just quickly cut across to Congress leader and former Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Ghulam Nabi Azad, who's speaking at this point of time.
जो देश के लिए लड़ते हैं और देश के लिए हमेशा कुर्बानियां देते रहे, वो आईडी ब्लास्ट में जो आतंकवादियों के द्वारा अवंतीपुरा कश्मीर में रखा गया था, और जिसमें बस में उन्होंने आईडी लगाई, जिसमें दर्जन से ज़्यादा हमारे सिपाही सीआरपीएफ के मारे गए और कई नौजवान उसमें ज़ख्मी हुए। इस घटना की जितनी निंदा की जाए, पूरे देशवासियों को इसकी निंदा करनी चाहिए। पूरी कश्मीर घाटी के और जम्मू कश्मीर के लोगों को इस घटना की निंदा करनी चाहिए। ये बहुत ही अफसोसनाक बात है कि इस तरह की घटना उन नौजवानों के साथ हो जो अपने घर बार छोड़कर, अपने परिवार छोड़कर देश की सेवा के लिए कश्मीर में आते हैं और आतंकवाद को ख़त्म करने के लिए आते हैं। और ऐसे आतंकवादियों की जितनी निंदा की जाए वो कम है।
आतंकी संगठन जैश-ए-मोहम्मद ने इसकी जिम्मेदारी,
हाँ, जैश-ए-मोहम्मद ने अभी टेलीविज़न के द्वारा उन्होंने इसे कबूल किया है, और मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि हमारी फ़ौज, हमारे सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस, जिन लोगों ने ये घटना अंजाम दी है, उनके साथ उनको पकड़ेगी और उनको जो सज़ा देनी चाहिए उनको मिलनी चाहिए।
All right, that was Congress leader, former Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Ghulam Nabi Azad speaking and condemning this attack. Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, just tell our viewers the impact of 200 kilogram explosives, when it goes off. I mean, of course, we can see the repercussions. 30 soldiers have already lost their lives.
First and foremost, it's extremely sad. The more you tell us, from 30 is going to be more. I can tell you, losing one man in an infantry battalion, you feel extremely sad. And here we've lost so many men. I sincerely pray that no more of such incidents take place. 200 kgs of explosive, can you imagine what it means? First and foremost, how did he gather so much of an explosive? From where has he gotten and got so much of explosive? First. Second, he's planning over a period of time, a vehicle, an SUV is being prepared. That means people around are knowing what exactly is going to happen. Therefore, there must have been some intelligence which probably we failed to get from the village, from where the vehicle has actually come over and hit the convoy on the road. The next thing is, I personally feel that when such large body of troops have got to be moved, they could well have moved in smaller numbers. They're moving during day, and that too in such large numbers, and especially when the convoy is just 20 kilometers short of Srinagar, such a wide road, vehicles, civilian vehicles are permitted to hit. I think almost at all times, even Uri, changeover of troops taking place, you had that incident. Here, again, 2,500 troops are going there, probably to change over, again it has occurred. So we must be very, very careful. No question of movement of such large body of troops becoming a target, and especially when we know that even in case of Aurangzeb, there have been incidents where one is trying to find out how did Aurangzeb die, who gave that information. So there are people within who are probably passing on this information, and we must be careful. And 200 kgs of explosive, well, let me tell you, with that kind of an explosive, maybe because the distance between the convoys was adequate, that the casualties have been just about 30. Otherwise, it could have been catastrophic. 200 kgs is a catastrophic.
Absolutely, 200 kgs, and you know, somebody in fact was just writing that it is enough to wipe off a full block when it comes to these explosives. We'll have to wait for the nature of what kind of explosive in fact was used in this terror attack. Major General Yogi Behel, now what? How do we move forward from here? What are the SOPs that needs to be changed? What are the immediate actions that need to be put in place, so that at least immediately there is some action on the ground as far as these terrorists is concerned?
Before I go any further, I would like to say something about this 200 kgs. Firstly, I doubt this figure. 200 kgs explosive, if it was loaded in that vehicle, not only one bus getting blown off, the others also, there would be a collateral effect on the other vehicles also. 200 kgs is a massive amount of an explosive to be used. So this required to be, these are the guessworks which are being given by the people who are on the ground there. The second thing is that let's not forget that for the last over a week, the Srinagar highway was blocked. So therefore, this convoy is not, this 50 vehicles or 70 vehicles is not a total CRPF convoy. It must be having certain civilian vehicles also. They are part of the convoy, they are moving together. Because I have been in that area, I have looked after that area, I know that convoy, the vehicles were stuck there, they have to also move. So the convoy was, it is not that the CRPF have been casual about the movement of their troops.
All right, let me just quickly now quote this tweet from the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister has tweeted, and he has said that the attack on the CRPF personnel in Pulwama is despicable. I strongly condemn this dastardly attack. The sacrifices of our brave security personnel shall not go in vain. The Prime Minister speaking at this point of time, he has tweeted and he has said that the sacrifice of our braves won't go in vain, and India is going to in fact take action as far as this is concerned. Let me just once again very quickly take you to this tweet of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Significant words being used there by the Prime Minister. Remember, it was under his watch that after the Uri attack, the entire surgical strike was planned. The Prime Minister once again saying the sacrifice of our Jawans won't go in vain. Gaurav, now this, of course, as we've been talking about the politics in an election, it will be very, very difficult for the BJP government, for the Prime Minister Modi's government not to show that they have acted and acted decisively after this.
Look, this is a government that was elected to power for being a decisive government, for taking action against terror. And after the Uri terror attack, I mean, the Prime Minister, even when he was in England, he said that this is a government that does not sit and it takes strong action. So one Uri surgical strike, and there is no denying the fact there are three generals on the broadcast, and they'll bear me out, that Pakistan was rattled by a surgical strike, because that raids had happened before, strikes of this nature perhaps not. But this perhaps requires action against Jaish-e-Mohammed, that terrorist organization. Maulana Masood Azhar is the chief of that terrorist organization that has repeatedly targeted India, from attacking the Indian Parliament to attacking the CRPF Convoy. They've participated in multiple terror attacks in our country, and so far they've by and large gone unpunished, because even the Pathankot terror attacks was carried out by Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorist organization. So now it remains to be seen how Prime Minister Narendra Modi intends to punish Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorist organization and its elements within India for carrying out this terror strike. And we'll be tracking, Ankit, that story very, very closely.
Absolutely, and this comes at a time when Home Minister RAJNATH Singh is going to go to Srinagar tomorrow. The Prime Minister making the will of the government very clear that there will be action. The terrorists who have in fact gone ahead and executed this attack will be made to pay. These are the visuals of just a short while back, when after the attack and the security forces in fact securing the entire highway, and this is that visual that is going to haunt not only the people, those who have lost their lives, their buddies, but also every Indian citizen of that smoking bus after the SUV went into that bus, rammed into that bus. Brigadier Mahalingam, there is no doubt, at least for any Indian, that there is a Pakistani hand behind this. Such kind of attack, the planning, the explosives, the kind of infrastructure that it requires, logistics that it requires, can't be done on the local level.
Absolutely. The point how the Pakistanis actually manage this is something like this. First of all, it infiltrates its commanders for the so-called terror outfits here. And some people think the LET, Jaish-e-Mohammed and the Hizbul Mujahideen, they are different outfits. They may be different outfits which has been made different for Pakistan's convenience for certain purposes. But however, these elements are coordinated and a job is given to a particular element. Along with that, there is a logistic requirement is there. This logistic requirement is planned and executed by the separatists. Let me be quite clear. The separatists are involved and they have created a logistic chain, which in fact not only gets these people, they also distribute money to these people. The resources starting from weapons to ammunition to explosives, they are brought from across the border by infiltrating parties in small numbers.
Yes.
And they are sort of stored at certain places and distributed. In this particular case, the explosives must have come in bits and pieces. It should have been assembled.
It's not a one-day operation. It has taken a lot of planning. It has taken a lot of time before this operation was in fact carried out. I have to take a very quick break at this point of time, but before I do that, on behalf of the India Today group and personally as well, we can only at this point of time just pay our condolences to the family of those soldiers who have lost their life. These men protecting our country have shed their blood for the country on the streets of Jammu and Kashmir. Every Indian right now is looking at the government on how and what example is made of these coward terrorists. This is our top focus, and this will be, in fact, our top focus after a very short break as well. Gaurav Sawant will be with you, getting you all the analysis and the latest coming in from Jammu and Kashmir. Stay tuned. News and updates continue on India Today.
Thanks for watching the video. For more such news and updates, please like, share and subscribe to India Today. Also check out our other great videos from our channel. We know you would love to.